I'm joined with ex-West Ham player Matt Jarvis, and here we are in Donau-Eschingen. Of course, this fixture marks the end of West Ham's pre-season training camp in the Black Forest. And at the same time today, in just under an hour's time, the under-21s are playing Maidenhead, 3 p.m. However, Mark Robson is without 12 of his players that he would usually have at his disposal, who will of course be in the first team today. The youngest player starting this first half is Ollie Scholes. Of course, really impressed with his 15 appearances. So what have you made of course, the West Ham players? They've, of course, got their new signing, Juve, that will be introduced in the second half. What have you made of West Ham, I suppose, going into this pre-season?
I think the biggest thing for me is, there's these players that they need to go and see what Graham Potter's wanting, how he's going to be setting up tactically, how he's going to want this team to perform in pre-season, but take it into the season. And all of these players now are going to be having that understanding in training, and now it's just about going into games and showcasing that. And they've got this opportunity in the first half. They know they're going to be playing 45 minutes, so just go out and enjoy it, but also get them minutes in, work hard, and show the manager what you can do.
Well, we're underway here. Your Hammers against the most decorated side in Swiss football history. And of course, West Ham wearing their new shirt for the upcoming season. So if you're just joining us, I'll go through the team lineup for this first half. Alphonse Areola in goal, Max Kilman, James Ward-Prowse, Nicholas Füllkrug, Jared Bowen, Maxwell Cornet, Guido Rodriguez, Jean-Claire Todibo, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Ollie Scholes, and of course Andy Irving. Jean-Claire Todibo, Matt, of course, didn't have perhaps the best season for him. He even admitted that going into this game, said how it took him time to get used to the Premier League. How valuable, though, albeit it wasn't perhaps the most successful season for him, will it be having now got that first season in the Premier League under his belt?
Yeah, it's huge. Not playing in the Premier League before, the physicality, especially as a centre half, and yeah, he likes to be a ball playing one as well. He likes to get the ball under control and play out, which I think will be a huge positive for Graham Potter. But it is hard to establish yourself straight in the team when you haven't played in the league. So this will be very beneficial for him to get a full pre-season under the Graham Potter's, the staff and the fitness and everything, to understand exactly what his role in the team is.
Of course, earlier this month he made the permanent move to West Ham, as you all know. He was on loan last season from Nice, and he mentioned how now being a West Ham player just means he knows his future, and that can make his performances better and just keep his mind at ease. I suppose, Matt, did you ever have any times in your season, or not in your career, where you were perhaps on loan waiting for an option to buy, or didn't really know where your future may be?
I didn't really have too much of that. I think mine was more, I really enjoyed pre-season, if I'm honest. Yes, I liked the physicality of the fitness work and everything, but I really enjoyed the pre-season games because I just wanted to get into my style of play, and taking players on as wing-backs, as wingers, as you hope, like Jared Bowen doing this. He'll want to be receiving the ball on the half turn, driving forward. That's all you want to do as a wide player, and these games are where you can go and do that, and it's nice for confidence. If you can get some goals, get a few of assists, you can build your confidence up, and these games are exactly that opportunity.
Well, there's the player we've been speaking about, Todibo, just trying to fire one over towards that far side where you'd imagine Ollie Scholes will be playing. Of course, he was usually deployed as a left wing back in his time under Steve Robson, or Mark Robson, and Steve Potts for the under-21s. Perhaps played more deep under Graham Potter as a left back, but certainly has some brilliant attacking qualities, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him develop his career. I mean, what a season this could be for him, of course, ending last season on a high, getting some consecutive games under his belt. How valuable can that be for a young player?
Exceptionally important for him to have a good pre-season, because you've got yourself into the team, you've had that opportunity, and now it's all about.
Have to be called off mid-sentence there, as the first real chance goes towards Grasshoppers. Alphonse Areola stuck in two minds there, whether to goes straight towards the attacker. Unfortunately, his defender did the job to clear it away, but it's still alive for Grasshoppers. Slightly worrying concerns here in the first 4 minutes for the Irons. Slightly more decisive header away. And this time the new number 3, Max Kilman, just playing it out towards that far side. Of course, Cresswell, a West Ham legend, leaving the club in May, meant that the number 3 shirt was available, and Max Kilman did say going into the season, he did ask Cresswell, he mentioned how they are best friends, but he still felt the need to ask his good friend whether he can take the number 3 shirt, and of course he obliged. Just some balls over the top there, not finding the player in claret and blue.
Yeah, I think Maxwell Kone is going to have an opportunity this pre-season to showcase what he can do. I think it's something that as a West Ham fans, they probably haven't seen the best of him, but maybe it's just because of that opportunity potentially. He's got now the chance to pre-season to show Graham Potter exactly what he can do. We know he's got quality, he's got pace, he's got trickery, and he's got goals as well. So this is an opportunity for him now to stake a claim to get in the team.
Of course, he spent time at Southampton last season, as well as Genoa, scoring twice in 7 Serie A games. Wan-Bissaka, last year's player or Hammer of the Year. How much did he impress you when you watched West Ham last season, Matt?
I think him as a player, if I look at it from a winger's point of view, you wouldn't want to face him. He's strong, he's quick, he's defensively, I would say, the best 1v1 defender in the Premier League. I don't think you're going to come up against someone that's as defensively as good. But now this is the opportunity for him. This is where he's impressed me last season with his attacking play. He was a massive threat for West Ham for the whole season. Whether he was playing on the right, whether he was playing on the left, and he showed that attacking finesse, which I think people maybe questioned, which he's showing everyone that he can do that. But defensively, he's so sound, and he's been an integral part of this West Ham team.
Here's Kilman in a very advanced position. Guido Rodriguez behind him. Kilman, of course, a previous futsal player, someone who's very technical. Wan-Bissaka just laying it off to Ward-Prowse at the byline as it's fired in. Grasshoppers deal with it. Irving occupies that space around the number 27, Thomas Veron Lupi. As it's looped over towards that far side. Grasshoppers think they kept it in, but in fact it goes to the Irons.
It's important in these pre-season games to get everyone on the ball, to get everyone to have a good touch. Not to hold on to it too long, because looking at the pitch, it's maybe a little bit long. They've been watering it before kick-off, but it's about keeping the ball moving, no injuries, making sure that you find that space and working it. You've got to progress up the field as well. That's a big thing. It's all right keeping the ball, but you've got to have an end product at the end of that section of play. Finding them spaces, passing through the lines, and then effectively you have to get a chance at goal, whether that's a shot or a cross.
Of course, Jarrod Bowen was saying before the game how it's an exciting time for the club as it's their first full pre-season, and we just saw there on camera the new coaching staff, the recent hired coaching staff. Will be beneficial for them to see their side and really try and map out what style of play they want, or the styles of play they'll need to use going into the next season to make sure they've got more than just one plan. Troublesome pass from Ward-Prowse, trying to break in behind Grasshoppers as it's then launched all the way out. And talking of being all the way out, Alfonso Areola fancied coming right out of his box.
Yeah, you want your goalkeeper to be positive and calm, but I think Todibo would have been able to deal with that. But in the end, Areola deals with it himself, takes no prisoners, comes and gets the ball, and that's exactly what you want from your goalkeeper. But that was that one opportunity there. Ward-Prowse, he's so good on the ball, he's able to manipulate it, and that was just that one through ball into Bowen where he's making that run that he does so well from out wide, inside, in behind the centre half, and almost gets in on goal.
This is neat link-up play on that far side with Skulls involved. Krug is up there trying to hold it up. He gets pulled down, as did Guido Rodriguez. One of the players, number 6, Amir Abrashi, is currently down. The Albanian midfielder, 35 years of age, and was their top goal scorer last season with 11 goals from central midfield. The referee just having words with Rodriguez. James Ward-Prowse nearby, but there's just Krug falling back, and then Rodriguez's late challenge on the captain. Opinions on that one, Matt?
I've had many of them in pre-season. Unfortunately, it's just one of them. He's tried to go for it with his front leg, missed it, so he's gone with his second. And yes, he's caught the player. It's a free kick. There's nothing else. You pick yourselves up and move on in pre-season. It's just one of them early challenges in the games that you just got to get yourself up to speed, and he's done that now. Hopefully, that's the only one.
That's an awkward pass. You see the goalkeeper Justin Hamill knew it right away. Bowen trying to press in on him. Irving playing over on that left-hand side. So Guido Rodriguez pulled over towards the left too. This is a good run down the right. There's the execution for the pass there as Ward-Prowse neatly plays it back to Kilman. Was just caught by himself. But he dealt with that well then, Matt. Of course, he tried clearing it away and it fell back into Grasshoppers' possession briefly. He managed to do the right thing in the end.
Yeah, he just needs to keep the ball in that situation, not do anything silly, and then you can get up into the other area like Wan-Bissaka is now, and just keep the ball. It's one of them that you don't want to just go back and forth. You want to make the decisive pass, but there he's in a great area like Ward-Prowse is there to get your shot away on the edge of the box. Great move.
Skulls keeping it alive. Now Rodriguez. Pinball going on, which almost fell in Grasshopper's favour, but Irving picks it up. You can see West Ham just being patient, like you said earlier, Matt, about how early on in these pre-season games you just want to get on the ball and pass it around, let everyone get a feel for it, and Bowen has a feel for it now. And it's Andy Irving.
That's perfect from Bowen. That's exactly how he's done that so many times before. He comes in on that right hand side onto his favourite left foot. He goes past one, goes past two, could have the shot himself, but he doesn't. He's unselfish. He lays it to Irving, and it's a fantastic finish. Left footed into that bottom right hand corner, really composed, gets his head over the ball, keeps it low, and it's a really good finish.
Well, the coaching staff looking on. That lovely strike from Andy Irving, teed up to him on a plate from the West Ham skipper. The goalkeeper not able to reach that. Too much power on it from a good range.
Andy Irving's done that quite a few times when he's played for the first team last season. He's very energetic. He seems to gets around the pitch really well. He's got good strikes on him, and he looks like he's comfortable in all of them little areas in between the lines. And his work ethic, I think, is a big positive for West Ham. So he could be another one that will be trying to push and get into that starting 11 this year.
Of course, he only had 11 appearances for West Ham last season after signing from the Austrian outfit Klagenfurt. The 25-year-old, he'll want to be pushing on. I suppose this is a perfect chance to show the coaching staff that he perhaps deserves a spot right in the thick of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I do keep saying it. But pre-season is really important. Yes, the manager is going to have his ideas of potentially who he wants to play. But if you can showcase yourself in this pre-season, you've got 45 minutes today. You probably get another 45 in the next game. You really just need to make every minute count and prove that you deserve to be in that team. And then the manager can trust you, and that's really important.
The goal scorer as Wan-Bissaka tries to make a driving run down the right. Heavy hit and a quick throw in. So just under a quarter of an hour gone. As West Ham will be happy to be 1-0 up. There's been some occasions though where of course Grasshoppers have looked fairly dangerous, but what have you made of their performance so far?
I think it's always tricky when you're in these situations in pre-season. You don't know the opponents. Your fitness levels are at a very good level, but maybe match sharpness is different. You're playing with potentially players that you haven't really played with before, so it's a bit more of that understanding. But it's been a good solid start. Yeah, keeping possession. You're getting Ward-Prowse and Irving in the correct areas of the pitch. Wan-Bissaka's got forward. Scholes is, he's not been able to get forward as much as he would probably have liked. I haven't really, Fulcrum hasn't been involved in the game yet. Maxwell Kone not either, these are big opportunities for them to prove that they should be starting in this team.
Of course, a few fringe players like you're saying, Andy Irving being one of them, Maxwell Kone. Such a successful time at Burnley, which is where he signed from back in 2023. Perhaps didn't hit the heights of that late season form that he had with Burnley so far for West Ham. There's a throw here. You can see where this is going. Right into the mixer. A couple of guys get to it, and in the end it's headed over. Trouble in Areola. Like we said, he'd like to come out of his box on a couple of occasions. Someone who wants to get involved. With the new hairstyle as well. Also seeing a new Areola.
That's something that's coming back into the game a little bit, that long throw. I think that's something that in the Premier League especially, that defences are starting to realise that it is now about the battle of winning that first header, getting that first contact and clearing the box, because in the amount of times that we give the ball away on the edge of the box, like we've just seen now, unfortunately for West Ham, I think it was given offside or a free kick. It's one of them that they have to clear their lines. That first header is mostly important, especially from them attacking threats, set pieces, long throw-ins, corners. It's really important. You see how, like for instance, Arsenal last year, set pieces were a huge plus for them. West Ham has always been good at set pieces. James Ward-Prowse on delivery, or Jared Bowen. You've got the likes of Kilman to get in the box and get your head on these. They're really good opportunities to get shots at goal or goals.
Of course, in your West Ham playing days, Matt, you had a lot of good attacking talent as centre halves. Of course, James Collins, Winston Reid, and I suppose with the wonder of your crosses, they were able to get on a few of them for a few corners or set pieces.
Yeah, I think Sam Allardyce was huge on set pieces, so that was something that was very structured. I think now it's a bit more free flowing. You see there, even from one long ball, Fulcrum nearly got himself in. Whether it was a better touch, he could have been in on goal. He would love to get an early goal in this pre-season to get him underway, get his confidence up, because I think he's got not a lot to prove. To a degree, but I think West Ham's fans will be expecting him to really hit the ground running now and to stay fit and to score them really important goals.
Of course, Füllkrug, 32-year-old, left in Germany, and each morning in this training camp they were saying how he's received the loudest cheer every time him and his teammates have walked out onto the practice pitch. Of course, he did have a tough season last year, sustaining a few injuries, and he said he's been working overtime this summer to build his stamina and his legs, and he's now feeling very happy. So that can add excitement, especially for this West Ham attack. It was a positive signing, an interesting signing as well. Fulkrug coming to West Ham last year after having such a successful spell at Dortmund, being a German international. He even played a full 90 for Germany last month in their third place Nations League playoff game against France. The fact that he's feeling happy suggests that we could be yet to see the best of Fulkrug in a West Ham shirt. Perhaps, Matt, when you were in your playing days, were there periods where you genuinely felt much fitter and therefore much happier?
Yeah, I think injuries for players like he had last season, you always want to impress when you come to a team, and if you get injured, it's bitterly disappointing. So you want to get to the point where you are as fit as you possibly can, you're ready to go, and then full pre-season is so important. I can't express that enough, that for players, if you can get a full pre-season, your body's robust, it's ready to go, and also just from a team's perspective, you understand the game, you understand the manager's tactics, you understand your teammates, you know where they are on the pitch, you know where they want to be, where they want to receive the ball, where they want to receive the ball. And I think it is only going to benefit the team going forward. So the full pre-season is mostly important.
Of course, they've got back Crescencio Somerville, but in the meantime, you could have seen it coming, Matt. Rodriguez finally finds himself into the book. Of course, he made a heavy challenge in the opening 10 minutes. Of course, there, you're not surprised to see him go into the referee's book.
Well, we did say, hopefully there was only one, but there we are. There's the second, and he's straight in the book. It's just a bit late challenge, and now it's a time that they need to switch on. This is pre-season, but set pieces, as I mentioned earlier, it's a real good opportunity for someone to get a ball in the box and get a header at goal. So it's good first defending, and Wan-Bissaka can clear his lines.
Kingman one to another towards Wan-Bissaka. Grasshoppers will try and create another attack. Shoved off the ball, but in a smart way from Rodriguez. Smart challenge there. Number 24. Smart from Irving as he just flicks it over towards Styles, who's then pulled down. Player to bring him down was Luke Plange, the number 7. Mentioned him earlier about how some West Ham fans may know of him. Of course, he signed a 3-year contract for Grasshoppers on the 17th of July, having started out at Arsenal and then Derby County, and was also at Crystal Palace. Since he's had loads with Lincoln, Carlisle and Motherwell. He's familiar with playing overseas. This is the 3rd club he's played for in Europe, the other 2 being in Belgium and Finland. Playing out on that right-hand side so far. I haven't really seen much of Grasshoppers so far. There have been some moments, but it's mainly been West Ham possession, you'd say.
Yeah, it has, which is exactly what I expected. But there again, you're wanting, from a West Ham perspective, that ball's fizzed into, I think it's Fulkrug up the top. It needs to have that hold up, keep the ball, and make sure that it sticks, because that's the build-up for the rest of the team. You need the ball to stick up top to be able to have them runs off it. You've got Ward-Prowse that pulls out to the side, Irving, and then you can get Bowen and the likes of Cornet ready to pounce. But again, giving the ball away on the edge of the box is not the ideal situation to be in.
As you know, the ball's mainly been spent in the middle of the pitch. Seen a West Ham attack since Jarrod Bowen glided nicely into the box to lay it off to the goal scorer Andy Irving as we reach the midway point of this first half. So another 22 minutes for this side, consisting of Kilman, Ward-Prowse, Fulcrew, Bowen, Cornet, Rodriguez, Todibo, Wan-Bissaka, Skulls and Irving. Haven't seen much of Cornet really in this game. Of course, he's been playing more so out onto that left-hand side.
I think a lot of it is down this right-hand side, purely and simply. And I know it's not what a lot of the left wingers want to hear, but I was in that position myself. When you've got a lot of right-footed players in the middle of the park, naturally they want to come out to this right-hand side because they open their body up, and it's just easier for them to make that pass into the right-hand side. Good line there from West Ham, making sure that the ball over the top wasn't there. Linesman put his flag up nice and early, which is great in a pre-season friendly. But as I was saying, I think Wan-Bissaka just adds that, because Bowen comes in on that on the right hand side. He comes in onto his left foot. He opens it up for Wan-Bissaka to get up on that right hand side, and that naturally in the middle of the park, it's just easier to come out to this side. So you're going to have to start screaming at them players to get the ball out to that left hand side, because you need to make that impact.
Wow, with suddenly seeing it played over onto that left side. Maxwell Cornet just around Jarrod Bowen, as you can see him hugging the touch line. Now it's back out to the familiar right with Wan-Bissaka. Quick passing here from the Hammers, as Irving looks to lay it off to Cornet. Just trying to find, perhaps Bowen was the best person to go to, but it was well dealt with by Grasshoppers, fairly easy as well.
Yeah, that's them moments. He's got loads of time. He's not under any pressure. It's just Bowen was there, was available. You just need to make that pass correct. See if Skulls can get a good ball into the box, but unfortunately it's overhit. It's just one of them opportunities that he's got time on the ball. Bowen's made that, checked his run to the edge of the box. All it needs to be is just set back to his left hand side, so he can whip that into the near post or the far post. Just put a bit too much on it, but that's them moments. You don't get many of them in the game, and if that's his one, he needs to make sure he produces.
Well, of course, thank you everyone for watching this live stream on the West Ham YouTube channel. Do remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and give a thumbs up to the stream. Of course, this is West Ham's first pre-season friendly. Cap it off with a London Stadium tie against Ligue 1 outfit Lille. You can still get your tickets for that game. £10 for adults, £5 for the under-18s. And what a great day out in the school holidays that could be. Of course, West Ham have also opened the lower block of the Sir Trevor booking stand. As you know, typically away fans sit there, but this time it's available for you Hammers. It's of course £10 for adult tickets, £5 for an under-18 ticket. In the meantime, though, Grasshoppers have a throw. They can't find a head. Instead, it's awkwardly cleared away. On a few occasions now for West Ham where they've tried to clear it away, but Grasshoppers are swarming them, trying to get a deflection, I suppose, to let it pinball back. This time it's hoisted in with commanding goalkeeping to rise high and collect. There are some of the Hammers in the background, as you can see. They're absolutely everywhere, home and away. They're enjoying their day out in Germany, a trip away. I suppose, Matt, you always saw pre-season as the time for playing, getting fit again. Myself, who's more of a football fan, always would enjoy going away to whichever pre-season tour there could be, and it's a great occasion for the fans as well, in July and August, soaking up the sun, but also going out to see their sides play some team away.
Yeah, it's brilliant for all spectators to come and watch, and you get to see all of the players potentially. It's not just the starting 11, you get to see the whole squad. So as a West Ham fan, it's great to be able to see a lot of the youngsters, and that is a fantastic ball over the top, really good touch as well, just at the end for Ward-Prowse, but really good run to get into the box, and that's where he's so good with his delivery. brought down. It's a really good opportunity. You don't see that too much from Ward-Prowse, then runs in behind, but he's done it a couple of times, and look at that touch right on the end. He just couldn't quite get the shot away. He got well defended in the end, and then just couldn't quite get the ball under control. But that's a really good run in behind. It keeps the defenders on their toes, and Bowen coming short makes that opportunity for Ward-Prowse to make that run in behind. A really good ball.
Yes, like you said, it's a fairly unfamiliar position for Ward-Prowse when he's making that run in behind, but what a touch that was. And it just shows that ball over the top, over the back, and in behind can work. Smart positioning. Rodriguez around him. Areola. It's starting to rain now in Germany with the umbrellas up. Scarves just trying to keep it in. There, of course, Graham Potter is. With Billy Reid to his right-hand side. Of course, there have been a few extra recruitments in the coaching staff, Casper Ankergren being one of them, previously at Leeds and Brighton. And of course, the new first-team goalkeeper coach, Linus Kandelin, 34-year-old, became the new goalkeeper coach as he arrived from the Swedish club IF Elfsborg. He even worked with Graham Potter at Ostersunds between 2015 and 2018. So you'd think big reasons coming to West Ham. He's linking up with his old manager. Did you have it, Matt, in your career when you perhaps wanted to go to a club due to people being there?
I think it's important to sometimes, if you know, whether it's players, whether it's staff, that you know what you're going into. And I think, as I said, I think the trust is a big part of it. So when you, especially as a staff member, you know, it's really important that you have that trust with the manager, that you have that, you know, rapport with him, because I think, you know, the manager can't do everything, so he's got to trust his people to with the goalkeeping coach. You know, he's got to trust that he's doing all of the work, he understands, and you know, he believes everything that he's saying. Obviously, he's got to be really exceptional at his job as well, which I'm sure he is.
Just for a brief moment, I thought Grasshoppers were going to suddenly make an attack. It feels like on a couple of occasions been caught in mid-sentence where an attack has just happened out of the blue. West Ham are unfazed. And here's Todibo. Ward-Prowse calling for it. He goes in field. See Bowen there just dropping deep, trying to receive it. Trying to spark up a chance. Cornet now. West Ham looking lively. Beautiful touch from Bowen. Rodriguez poking it out towards Cornet. It's a low ball in. Once again, Fulkrug gets blocked. West Ham getting close as Rodriguez will swing it in. Bowen looks to try and tee it up. Slips as he just takes the shot. He just takes out all the power that he is intending to put behind it. A promising sign from West Ham.
That's just where you look now, and you've got the pace and the power, and you just such a different speed, momentum. That one bit of acceleration, Bowen's flick around the corner, and then it's the momentum, and then that's exactly how Graham Potter wants his team to line up and to play, with that fluid pace and power. And Fulkrug nearly got his shot away, and then so did Bowen. It's that pressure, keeping the pressure on. So much better attacking play from West Ham there.
I suppose with pre-season games you want to show an intensity, but is it still important to perhaps, of course you still want to be fully committed, but to perhaps not completely tire yourself out before a strenuous pre-season? Of course, they go into America next week, and then they've got the game against Lille, and then a competitive Premier League season. So what's that mindset like when you're having to deal with your stamina?
I think the players nowadays, they are super fit. You come back first day of pre-season and you're as fit as you were when you left. It's all about the match tactics. It's all about just that sharpness, and for pre-season, like for instance in this game, before the game, right, you're going to play 45 minutes. So for me, I wouldn't be having a rest and doing that. You'd want to not max out, I suppose, but you want to be 95 plus, to make sure that you've got that 45 minutes under your belt, and you can really move on to the next game, play another maybe 45, and then look to get 60, and then you're into your 90s. And you want to play, for me, I always wanted to play a 90 minutes a couple of times before I went to pre-season, before I started the start of the season.
Well, here's Cornet. Bone of the flicked pass in towards Fulcrew, brought down, calls for a penalty, but it goes the other way. Opinions on that one, Mark?
I'd have to have a little look, because I can't imagine there wasn't much protest from the West Ham player, so I think they've given that one as it wasn't a Stonewall penalty. I don't see it.
For a brief moment, when you see the player go down like that, there's always a bit of anticipation that you're going to see the referee blow his whistle. Of course, no VAR to go to that, which I think is a relief for a lot of people. Of course, West Ham out in Germany. Matt, when you were in your playing days at West Ham, where did they take you? Perhaps not the best time to ask that question, as Grasshoppers are on the attack. They pick that one up in just a second as they look to try and keep it alive, but it's played back. There's the number 28, Simone Strosio. Hangs one in. It's a glorious opportunity for Luke Plange at the back post. Perhaps the slippery service was a detriment there for him. West Ham looks to try and come away with it. Plange trying to go in on Bowen. There's another opportunity. They've got him behind. It's well worked. It's chipped over. It just goes beyond the far post. West Ham that's off there.
That's really good play from the Grasshoppers. I think you look on the edge of the box, and the little wings are changed. Little 1-2. It's Kilman and Tadibo both go towards the ball, and neither of them look for the player. And it's only from the ball just spinning the other way that it keeps out the goal. But both defenders, Tadibo and Kilman, just going towards the ball there, forgetting the run of Lupi in behind, and Ward-Prowse not being able to get back in control at the other side of him. But he's on the attack this side.
West Ham just moving the ball up, looking to get a double. That's the best bit of play we've seen. Very intricate from Grasshoppers, and impressive how they just managed to play around West Ham and pull some players in to create the space. The finish just wasn't there on this player, Thomas Veron Lupi, number 27, typically a right winger. He's Argentinian and has played for Grasshoppers for just under a year now. And here he is popping up on the left. There's their captain, Abrashi. He was featured for Albania in the senior side, almost over 50 caps for Albania, featuring in all three of their group stage games in 2016, but not in last year's Euros, where of course he would have come across England in the first game. As that swung in towards that back post. Levo just looking around, there's a 360 there. And of course, 7 minutes to go for this current set of players. Youth coming in the second half, and Rolly Skulls, and their youth prospect out here for this first half. Do you think that's intentional from Graham Potter?
Potentially, he's got a big squad that he can choose from, and now it's an opportunity to get again, as I just commentator's curse, I suppose. You're just looking at get that ball in behind to get across a goal, and it goes out for a throw in. But yeah, it's an opportunity to start building them relationships. I think Tadibo and Kilman look potentially to be, at the end of the last season, the centre half pairing. Then they're paired today. You've got Wan-Bissaka on that right hand side, the Skulls on the left, which is probably what finished the season. And then it's just about trying to get that blend. But the second half, it's going to be exciting to see Diouf, new signing, see what he's like in a West Ham shirt. Hopefully he's going to come through it, show everyone exactly what he's about, and then you've got a few youngsters that are going to be coming on as well. So really, as I mentioned, pre-season, such a good opportunity to show what you can do.
Of course, as they're really integrated into the first team for this pre-season camp. Line up to come at the beginning of the second half, but a few players in the second half who'll play, such as Caelan Casey, Callum Marshall and Lewis Orford. Of course, Casey and Orford played a lot for the under-21s. They made their first senior debuts last season. We're looking to try and get more appearances at the beginning of the upcoming campaign, as the rain's pouring down here in Germany. The last game of this pre-season camp. And of course, West Ham are off to America next week for the Premier League Summer Series. Their opponents will be Manchester United, Everton and Bournemouth. And of course they end pre-season with Lille at home. Cornet brought down there, looking straight to the referee, who makes no hesitation in his decision. And the players, Abrashi bringing down Guido Rodriguez. As he fell down, he's holding his hamstring. Of course, it would be worrying, I think, actually just the top of his left or his right thigh as he's helped up. But we'll just go over the goal here again. Jarrod Bowen gliding into the box effortlessly. Seen that so much in a West Ham shirt. And Irving with a no-nonsense finish. First touch, first goal.
Great for Irving to get that goal. He's looked lively. He's got into quite a few good areas. He's got himself about the pitch, always wanting the ball. And Bowen just does what he does best. That coming in from that right hand side on his left foot, you just expect him to let that shot go with his left foot, but unselfishly giving it inside, and it was a brilliant finish.
Well, West Ham looking dangerous at the end of this first half. It will be a corner. I believe that's the first corner for West Ham of the game so far. In the process, Saulo Dakali got injured. He's down anxiously, hoping he'll be okay. Ward-Prowse looking to just cut it in. I thought originally perhaps he may have pulled something, but if anything, it just stung.
The Ward-Prowse again, he's made them that run off that inside right, coming in behind Wan-Bissaka or Bowen, being able to play him into that channel where he gets that opportunity to put that delivery in, which he's got such technique and precision, which we'll hopefully see again on the corner.
That's a brilliant corner. Just couldn't keep the header down. There to get the final touch was, of course, Andy Irving looking for a brace. He'll be happy as he walks off the pitch, you would say, going into the half-time break. It was Irving who was running back, but perhaps the player that got the final touch was Niklas Füllkrug. And you'd expect him to try and get that on target. To be fair, the way he managed to connect with that header in itself shows the type of qualities he's got. Wan-Bissaka providing the width, but they're playing it in field. You see Scarles just trying to make that underlapping run as Cornet was brought back. Grasshoppers felt that they should have had a foul. Ward-Prowse does enough to get it out of that tight situation. Here's Irving. And that pass. And Bowen was trying to find a spectator with it.
Just passing it out now, knowing that coming into the end of that first half, keeping the ball. Bowen just misplacing that one, but other than that, the West Ham players in that middle of the park, you've got Rodriguez, you've got Ward-Prowse, and you've got Irvin, just keeping the ball, getting it ticking over. I would like to see Fulcrum get more of the ball. I'd like to see Kone get more of the ball to show their qualities. I think the way that Graham Potter is setting up this team, the outlets are Wan-Bissaka and Scarles, and I think that's where giving the ball away on the edge of the box is again not the ideal position to be doing that. But it's, as I was mentioning about the midfield, the outlets are Wan-Bissaka on the front hand side. I think on the other side, Scarles and Kone potentially getting in their own way a little bit. It's becoming a bit tight on that side, but they have had opportunities to get that final crossing at inside the box, which Kone just missed Jared Bowen, and I think Scarles has had a couple of crosses as well.
Well, that's the end of the first half, and we'll change full 11s going into the second. It ends here at the break, 1-0 thanks to Andy Irving meeting the Jared Bowen pass. We'll be right back.
Hey, Jared! You not getting changed?
What? Is that Vivi? Well, that's a lot of oranges.
Early again, mate. Colton is back.
Yeah, mate, cool. I'll give it to you first thing in the morning, yeah?
Yeah, well, where are you?
How much longer?
Where are you off to?
Can you imagine? I forgot my football boots on the train.
You ain't got boots
This isn't just football. This is home. This is West Ham, united by more.
In the bag.
I've got nunchucks on, innit?
Come on, Carl.
I've got that walking, bro.
Take 433.
Biggest one we've ever won.
No, you've done it,
You two are great. You two are like the strikers. You two are thinking about it.
But no, hey! Guys, I'm here.
There's so many people that I'm made of. They've got to remember who I am.
Let's do one more.
And then have a little embrace. Yes, Krause. Well done, mate.
Now we see some fire in a big man.
You not getting changed?
So I'm here with Max Kilman today.
Little skater boy.
Nice.
And that's a wrap. Hey, 3, 2, 1, I do that.
Okay, ready?
3, 2, 1. And that's a wrap.
There's nothing better than when calculated decisions pay off. It's all about backing yourself. He did.
With only 30 minutes till kickoff.
So did he. Oh. And he definitely did. Always back yourself. Boyle Sports, West Ham United's official principal partner.
Number 61, Orford.
Hello everyone and welcome back for the second half. Of course, I'm Ollie Ordis, joined with the ex-Hammer and Wolves player amongst plenty of others, Matt Jarvis, getting ready for the second half. Andy Irving's goal is what keeps the Hammers in front. It was mentioned a lot in the first half. We won't be seeing them now in the second. Of course, we're here in Donau in Schingen, in southern Germany. 45 minutes for the new lineup, which we'll go through now. Of course, in goal now for this second half, Wes Fotheringham. He's joined by what looks to be a back three. Of course, that could change over the game, but we're thinking, of course, Caelan Casey, under 21 last year, with one cap to his name in a back three with Konstantinos Mavronapos, and the new signing, the only signing so far of this summer window, Elhadji Malik Diouf, of course, signed from Slavia Prague. And then the rest of the players, Thomas Tuchek, Naya Vergaard's playing, Naya Vergaard, Lucas Paqueta, Freddie Potts, Callum Marshall, Lewis Orford and Louis Guilherme. So of course, when you look at that team sheet, Matt Jarvis, we think, not really too sure where, of course, how many centre-backs are playing, as we've got Agard, Mavropanos, Diouf and Caelan Casey, so perhaps we're seeing some players in some different positions.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think it's going to be a back three with wing backs. I'm not sure which of the. It might be Guilherme on the right hand side as a right wing back. You've got Diouf on the left, and then your midfield is a four really of Souček, Potts, Orford and Paqueta. With Marshall up top. That's my thought process. I'm sure it'll come on and it'll be something completely different. But that looks like the lineup that I think in the formations.
Well, I'll take your thought process over mine any day, Matt. Of course, looking forward to seeing Diouf playing alongside the other youngsters. Lewis Orford wearing the number 61 as he did last year. And here is Diouf already looking to try and get involved in the action, and that's his first touch in West Ham colours. Almost gifted away by the number 32, Freddie Potts, who's back at West Ham. Of course, spent 2 years on loan, gaining experience for the League One side Wycombe Wanderers, where he won Player of the Year, and then, of course, last season, where he clocked up around 37 appearances in the Championship for Portsmouth. So really looking forward to seeing him. Do you know much about Freddie Potts, Matt?
I actually played with his older brother, Dan Potts, when I was at West Ham. But no, I've watched him play a few times last season. He's had a really good season, and he'll be, I know I keep repeating myself, but he'll be desperate to showcase what he can do, because he's gone out on loan. He's earned his craft. He's now come back and he wants to get in this team. So a great opportunity for him to tell the manager, look, I don't want to go out on loan. I want to go and I want to play for this team.
Of course, he mentioned how both spells were tough. Fotheringham was caught out there, but the pass finds its way to a colleague of his. Of course, Freddie Potts will join the US Summer Series in 3 games over the next fortnight. Of course, in 3 weekends' time, West Ham will be back at the London Stadium. But here's a brilliant driving run. Excitement, early doors, and it's a goal! Right at the beginning of the second half, rifled into that right corner, 2-0.
What a fantastic finish that from Callum Marshall. Really, really confident, really great strike with his left foot. But what impressed me there is he's got him behind. He's had options. He doesn't have to take the shot himself, but what he is, he's confident. His eyes on the prize. He gets that shot away just to the edge of the box. Really good into the bottom right-hand corner. Fantastic start, and for him, really impressive.
Absolutely, Matt. Of course, last year he was at Huddersfield in League One, 9 goals in 43 appearances. He came on as a late substitute for the Northern Irish senior side against Denmark in June. What a goal. And that was excitement. That was really promising. Lewis Orford was in an attacking position as well, as he looked to try and perhaps be a player to get on the end of any deflection, but Marshall found the back of the net with a brilliant strike. And that's just what we wanted to see going into this second half. Matt, of course, it is a pre-season friendly, but perhaps wasn't the most exciting of first halves. It certainly hasn't been the case early on in this one.
No, but that's what happens when you change your whole team in the second half, and fresh legs, that opportunity for Marshall to stamp his authority, and what a way to do it. He showed pace, he showed strength, and then he showed the clinicalness. That's what we said in the first half, where a stray pass or that final shot, but there he takes his opportunity, and boy, what a shot.
Absolutely, and once again, more attacking from West Ham, coming from Orford and Diouf down the left. West Ham certainly on the front foot. Of course, this is a different formation. It looks like it should be 3 at the back. And would you say that's an obvious reason as to why West Ham are 2-0 up now?
No, I think like now in the wide areas, when you've got pace, that's the opportunity to get past people, to get put in the box. Yes, it's not happened this time. He didn't get past his fullback, but there are so big opportunities when you've got pace and trickery in the wide areas to get past the fullback, get a crossing or cut inside and have a shot. That's the excitement. That's what the fans want to see, and that's what Marshall did there. He showed his pace, he got in behind, and then he had the opportunity and the clinicalness to get his shot away and put West Ham 2-0 up.
Of course, that doesn't make good reading for Nicholas Glaus, who's the goalkeeper that's just come in for Grasshoppers. Of course, just like West Ham, they fielded a separate starting 11 in this first half. Snore and a nicely threaded ball through to the number 50, Callum Marshall. Once again, the positioning so far has been strong from the youngster. Here's a good chance as it comes from that far side. Fotheringham with the calmness to collect it. No second balls for Grasshoppers that time around. West Ham looking tidy in the opening 5 minutes. Marshall looking to fool his counterpart. This is nice. A bit more fluidity as Paquetá tries to find Marshall. For Gerd. Tries to swing it back to one of his players, but gifts it away. Sloppy from Gerd. Grasshoppers aren't able to make anything count.
I think I can see early on, you can see on this left-hand side with Diouf, you can see he's got energy, he's got power, and he wants to get forward, and I think that's going to be a key. I think is it him over on this left-hand side again? Yes, look, there he is, great touch. Can he provide the cross? It's the first man, but that's, again, he's showing the willingness to get forward, and I think that's going to be a key part to the West Ham team. You could run Bissaka on one side, potentially him on the other, or Scarles. It's a really attacking-minded fullbacks.
Of course, and previously Graham Potter has liked to use a back three in his time at Brighton, especially. So that's something he probably won't shy away from this season. And perhaps you feel he'll be playing 4 at the back in the first half, 3 in the back in the second, to maybe get a good idea of what he wants his starting formation to look like.
Yeah, it's always difficult though with different personnel for different formations. He's looking. He just probably thought the team that he put out first half was probably better suited to a 4, and he's looking at this and probably thinking that it's probably better suited to the wing backs. I feel for Guilherme a little bit because he's really not a wing back. He's an attacking winger, so he's going to have to do that defensive shift that he's probably not had to do before or not really wanting to do. But if you get your opportunity, you've got to be in the team wherever it is and showcase what you can do. So he's going to have to do that shift, but when he gets that opportunity like he did earlier to try and take his fullback on, he's got to go and do it.
Of course. And the latest signing, Diouf did used to play as a left winger, then became a left wing back in his time at Slavia Prague. Lovely ball over the top once again to Diouf, unable to beat his man. He's getting success down that left-hand side in terms of space. Of course, signed from Slavia Prague, as we know, 19 million, originally recruited by the Galaxy Football Academy in his home city of Dakar in Senegal, and joined one of the other footballing academies in Senegal, which also produced Mame Biram Diouf, mostly well known for his time at Manchester United and Stoke. And in Jan 2023 went to Tromsø and Norway's top flight, mainly played in the reserves, but then started to get into the first team, and when he was in the first team he helped Tromsø finish third and qualify for Europe. He was just done a clever pass to Souček to try and set one up from the byline. It's going to be promising from Potts, scuffs the effort. West Ham really controlling this now in the opposition's half. It was more in the middle of the pitch in that first half period. It's certainly an energetic start from this new 11. Grasshoppers tried to come away, firing it straight into one of the West Ham defenders. And Diouf is brought down.
I think that's where, if you're looking at the two halves already, I think with this formation and with the wing backs, you're getting a lot, the players higher up the pitch, there's a bit more space, and then defensively you're always going to have your three centre halves back in play, so defensively you've probably got a bit more support there, and the midfield there's not necessarily a shape. You've got Potts and Souček, but you've got Paqueta in there as well, and you've got Orford, so you're packing in that area, so you should be able to always have this opportunity to get on the ball, and then Diouf's just rampaging down the left hand side and really enjoying his debut.
So far 10 minutes in, he's looking promising. Did you ever play many back threes? Obviously not in the centre back positions, Matt, but during your time? In the meantime, West Ham are going to create another opportunity once again. I need to pause that comment. Just waiting. West Ham is going to be cleared away from the skipper. So, back to the question, did you ever play in many back three formations, and how did you find it given your position?
Yeah, I'm sure West Ham fans will remember, I only ever played in a wing-back position once, and that was away at Nottingham Forest with a much-changed team. I think it was me and Stuart Downing as the wing-backs, and it wasn't a great day, unfortunately. I can't say that I enjoyed playing a wing-back. I was much more enjoyable going forward, less so much the defensive responsibility, but nowadays, teams like to play with wing backs as wingers, so you're going to have to get used to it. But no, I was more as a proper old school winger, and that is a glorious ball in, got to be finished.
Surely I felt Callum Marshall was destined to get a brace as the ball just fell at his feet. Just needed to tap it home. It was congested.
What a fantastic cross from Diouf, though, that is. He's popped up a few times, hit the first man on a couple of occasions, but that one, a glorious ball in, whipped in for everyone. It should have been put in from the first contact, but then when it comes to Marshall, he just couldn't get his feet sorted, wanted to get that touch to be able to put it in, but the opportunity is gone. But really good play again by Diouf.
Paqueta out towards Orford, but he has three black shirts around him. And he just skips away from Potts in midfield, looking to try and switch it over with the diagonal. It's from offside. Number 9. Lucci. Not an offside, a handball. Quite high up though. West Ham won't mind, but they will mind about this as Grasshoppers look dangerous once more. Swung in, but headed away awkwardly. Flick back from Diouf. Fotheringham just calming down his players.
I don't remember many pre-season friendlies that are in the rain, and it doesn't look pretty, but the pre-season is all about the heat and getting used to the temperatures, but actually it'd probably be quite nice for these players to be out there in the rain and get your 45 minutes in, because when I played, I actually loved playing in the rain. The ball zips a lot quicker. You didn't feel as tired in the rain. I don't know whether that was just because of obviously with the heat you get more dehydrated and it just feels a little bit harder to get going again. But whereas the rain, I just think you have that, the zip of the grass. I think you just naturally, I think, just enjoy it a little bit more because of that. You don't want it too cold, obviously, but that zip and that pass and the crisp of everything, it just goes a lot better, especially when you're dominating possession like West Ham are here.
Of course, I suppose it just naturally rehydrates you being drenched on. Something, of course, was not the case in the recent Club World Cup. There are worries about that with the World Cup next year and how hot and humid it can be over in the States. I suppose, talking of going overseas and pre-season, Matt, I did ask you this in the first half, but we got cut off by one of the opportunities. Is that about to happen now? It's not. Where did West Ham take you on pre-season at your few years with the club?
Well, so one I can particularly remember is we went to New Zealand. Obviously, we had Winston Reid in the team, and we went over there, and what an incredible experience that was. We got welcomed, really welcomed into every training session. We had the games, really impressive. Obviously, it's a long way, so your body has to, I suppose, get used to being with travel and then being the time difference. So the actual training sessions were a lot less, I suppose, in them 2 weeks, but we built it up slowly. We then had the games, and just a fantastic experience to go over there, different cultures, experience everything, and I think from a player, them pre-season trips are really good for a team bonding. For if you've had new signings to integrate into the team, I think it's really important, and that's where that unity comes into its own.
Were you asked for any autographs when you went over to New Zealand? Matt Jarvis autographs?
Only the West Ham fans. I think no one else knew who I was for sure, but the West Ham fans were there, and what an opportunity to go out and experience a different way of life, a completely different country. What an incredible place to be. So really enjoyed going there for pre-season.
I suppose Winston Reid, when he went over there, he must have been known by a lot of the New Zealand fans.
Well, that was the main reason we, I think, went. It was a huge opportunity for us to go over there. Obviously, he was a legend over there, and he was a top player. Really was. I think I don't know quite. In training up against him, there wasn't many ways you could get past him. If I was quicker than him, it was fine. But he would put his arm in the way. He was so strong, quick. He was great on the ball, good in the air. I think he was an outstanding centre half, and he knew exactly what to do on that pitch. Whether it was go up and head the ball or bring it down. I think him and James Collins, especially them two together, were if you wanted anyone in the trenches with you, it was them two. They would put everything on the line for you.
Of course, Winston Reid, I remember scoring one of the final goals at Boleyn. It was the final one against Manchester United back in 2016. Just a foul on Paquetá, which has led to this West Ham free kick, which will be taken by Freddie Potts. Of course, Paquetá, one of the standouts at times for this West Ham side, brings such flair and creativity to the attack, as it's out towards this second half goal scorer Callum Marshall. Back to the young winger. One thing I find about having a back three formation with wing backs is it feels like you've always got an option which allows play to be more fluid. I think, of course, that can be the case obviously with a back four, but do you think the back three usually offers that more often than a back four?
I think it all depends on how your players use the ball. You don't want it to be just stuck with the three centre halves. You want them to be with your main players in the midfield, or your attacking players, or your wing back. So it's just about how you use it. Pluses and minuses for all formations, but as long as the three centre halves are able to use the ball well and step in when there's not necessarily two players up front, you step forward and step into them areas. I think you've got a lot of options and you can pack the midfield, and that's what obviously at the moment West Ham are doing really well. They've got their players in midfield, the wing backs are pushed high and wide, and that's where we're finding a lot of joy.
Absolutely. I suppose when you look at that Paris Saint-Germain side who use a back four, they're one of the most fluid sides in world football, if not the most. And right now West Ham are playing with nice flair, fluidity, picking it around, and it's not just sideways, which we have sometimes seen with back three formations, like you said, Matt, when it can be stuck with the centre halves, especially against a low block. That's intercepted, to make something happen, but they have a second opportunity and it's fired towards goal. Not required. Senegalese international sees it go out for a throw. Of course, El Hadji Malick Diouf was part of Senegal's side that beat England in the friendly. He played left back that day up at the City Ground in Nottingham. So 20 minutes gone in the second half, Matt. What have you made of this assessment?
I think it's been, you look at the intensity, I think, has been a bit better second half. I think, passing in intricately in the midfield and then just being able to get out wide. I think first half was with Wan-Bissaka, but on the right hand side. But again, now you're looking at getting the players forward. I think you'll be a bit frustrated with his performance so far. I think he's had opportunities to get forward, but he's now playing in that right wing back situation where he's got to be back in defensively minded, but then when he gets that opportunity to get forward, he's not been able to take it at the moment. Hopefully he's going to get more opportunity to go and do that.
And the ball's been played a lot on that far side, which wasn't in the first half. And that's a brilliant start. Freedom on the 10. Jonathan Asper-Johnson. It's properly fierce. Beating Fotheringham. Great strike.
I think that's, again, sometimes when you've got the three centre halves, you're holding back. They've got a centre forward there, but it's the edge of the box. They just pulled off, and you've got to be able to step onto him. The cross comes in, and it's just at the edge of the box. You've got to be able to step out and confront the midfielder or the attacking midfielder to step on to get the strike away, but it can't take anything away. Great strike, no chance for the goalkeeper.
Of course, the goal scorer, the number 10, is 19 years old, an attacking midfielder, Danish. He's featured in the Danish youth setup on an international level. Of course, at the moment he's on loan for the upcoming season from Bayern Munich. Apparent clubs in a goal like that will please them, as it will do his current one too. They managed to half the deficit. And how can that sometimes feel in a pre-season friendly? Of course, you'd always want to keep a clean sheet, but does it change affairs now? What do you think will be going through the West Ham players' heads?
No, I think particularly with Graham Potter, it's all about be fitness. It'll be about performance, and it'll be about just making sure that you're going through everything that you're supposed to be doing from a tactical side of things. The result obviously is always important, but for these players, they've got 45 minutes to go and show what they can do, and it's fitness work. It's about attacking play and clean sheet. So there's one that's gone in now. They're going to be making sure that they don't let another one in, but getting forward and like right now to get on the ball, get attacking, and try and get another goal.
Wolford was in such a good position there as the ball was fed into him from the byline, but he passes it away to a black shirt, picks it up though, covers it nicely. A slip from the Grasshoppers player. just over 20 minutes to go of West Ham's first pre-season game. Of course, if you are watching at home from afar, please do like and subscribe to the West Ham YouTube channel. Bringing you plenty of West Ham content, of course, right now. The West Ham under-21s are currently playing against Maidenhead. 25 minutes into their game against the National League South outfit. It's well into their pre-season training before the Premier League 2 starts next month. As for this West Ham side, of course, they've still got the summer series to play. Man United in the New Jersey, excellent, huge stadium, the MetLife Stadium, where the World Cup final will be hosted next year. That's at midnight on the 27th of July. Everton on Wednesday, 30th of July. That's at 11 PM our time. And then at a more sociable time, Bournemouth on Sunday, the 3rd of August at 7 PM. And that'll all be before Lille at the London Stadium. In 3 weeks' time, of course. Currently West Ham selling tickets, £10 for an adult ticket, £5 for an under 18. And here come Grasshoppers once again. A bit of a trend so far when you're midway into speaking about something, and all of a sudden that's when both teams decide to make an attack. I suppose the timing just needs to improve a little bit more, but full and focused on this Grasshoppers corner kick. Swung in. To get right onto it. Grasshoppers having their best spell of the game so far as it struck from distance and following them. Tested, but very routine for the goalkeeper, Matt.
Yeah, it didn't trouble him. You know, he's good strike from outside the box, but it was well cleared from the corner out. It's just them second phases where just the edge of the box, driving out, you need to get the block away. It's too easy to get a shot away, so it's just pressing a bit higher up, you know, especially the back three and then them central midfielders.
Ooh, and that's a nasty one. Luke Plange firing it straight into his captain's head. Looked frustrated at Plange there for that delivery. Perhaps more so the shock. Fortunately it's not cold, so it won't sting as much, but as you mentioned earlier, Matt, you're usually used to seeing pre-season friendlies in the sun, and you could easily imagine this being at some time in December. Guilherme hasn't seen much of the ball so far. Of course, he wants to try and make a statement this season. When he arrived at the summer of last season, played for the under-21s and a few of the competitions. Of course, ultimately ended up making 13 appearances for the first team over the course of last campaign. Juve just passing it back to Fotheringham. And his body language suggested he was saying to one of his players, what else is he meant to do? So perhaps West Ham could be getting a little bit frustrated now that Grasshoppers are starting to make their mark.
Yeah, you could definitely say that Grasshoppers have improved. They've started to get in between the lines, winning the ball back, and maybe West Ham giving the ball away maybe a bit cheaper than they did at the start of this second half. But it's got to be defensively sound first and foremost. You know, that's good defending there, but you've got to make sure that one, clear your lines correctly and keep the ball. But then after that, it's how do you progress up the field? How do you get their balls up through the lines? And you know, Marshall's he's not been able to make them runs down the flanks as much as he did in the first sort of 10 minutes of the second half. Paqueta's not been able to get in the game as much as he did and influence it how we know he can. So it's just little things, and I have been impressed with Diouf though. I think for me, you look at it, his debut, and I think he's shown defensively sound. He's shown energetic to get up and down on that left-hand side. He's put really good crosses into the box. And he's shown that his defensive work, you can see a few opportunities where Grasshoppers are going forward and he's sprinting back, gets himself back into a defensive position, wins the ball back, and that's exactly what you want from your wing back. So it's been a great start for him in his West Ham career.
And of course, Caelan Casey, one Premier League appearance last season versus Bournemouth. Captain, the vice captain when Orford isn't playing for the under-21s. Two big senior players in the under-21 setup now, Lewis Orford and Caelan Casey. Scarles was there before he started his successful stint in the first team, but this is a good effort. Almost finding the top corner, but just a yard or so away from As Jensen. Brimming with confidence, just tries to wrap the side of his foot around it and finesse it into that top corner. They're getting closer, and all of a sudden this goal has changed the complexion of the game. We were speaking highly of West Ham in the first period of the game, and in the second half at least. Passes like that sum up perhaps where they are mentally right now. Another throw in for Grasshoppers, deep into the West Ham half. Orford. Cleared forward by Agard. Chased down by Marshall. A slip on that far side will help West Ham regain position. Of course, pre-season is very much so about getting minutes, but do you think managers will be extremely frustrated at the way the games go sometimes at pre-season? And once again, question asked, but West Ham are on the attack. This is promising to try and reinstate their 2-goal lead. Here's Juve. Orford trying to manoeuvre his body to pick up that pass. Oh, lovely footwork from Paquetá. Orford in the thick of it. He's got so many black shirts around him. Didn't really have a clear option in claret and blue. Deft pass from Potts. West Ham just wanting to control a bit more possession now, you can see, Matt.
Yeah, I think they've realised they've got to step it up, and the little interchanges with Diouf and Paquetá, he loves just them little round the corners, little 1-2s in between the gaps, in between the centre halves and the midfield. He occupies that area really well, and we know the quality that he possesses. But it's just making, I think, that from Fotherington is just showing that actually we need to just sit back a little bit, make sure that we're not soaking up too much of their attacking threat, because they seem to be getting in a little bit too easy in this last 5-10 minutes in this second half. It's something that's, I think the space is starting to open up a little bit between the midfield and the three centre halves, and that's where they're starting to find a little bit more possession, and there's been a couple of shots from the edge of the box that maybe should have been closed down a little bit quicker.
Just trying to do some closing down here. A short pass from Souček, which saw Grasshoppers almost win it back. It's back here, but it's back to Souček and back to Grasshoppers with 13 minutes to go. It started off incredibly well, especially for the 20-year-old Callum Marshall. Here's Diouf, who's seen a lot of the ball in this second half, had a chance to showcase his talent early on. I suppose the closest he got to getting an assist was a golden opportunity where they almost made it 3-0, where the ball fell to Potts' feet in the 6-yard box, and just before that hit the woodwork. Sloppy play in the midfield once again as Grasshoppers come forward. This is promising. Plange making the effort. West Ham with the defending, and they continue to defend. 22, Creti trying to float in a ball. The offside saves West Ham there. There's going to be some more substitutes for Grasshoppers. Perhaps try and get an equaliser, which looks incredibly unlikely after Callum Marshall put West Ham 2 goals up to 0. Here is the offside. He just tried to come back on to into an onside position, Luke Plange. And that'll be the end of the day for the Englishman.
Nochmal ein Doppelwechsel zu dem Grasshopper Zürich. Ausländischer Spieler mit der Nummer 7, Ward-Prowse, und Nummer 26, Maxim Pascocci.
Super play in the midfield where they're just losing the ball, man. Gifting Grasshoppers these opportunities in behind, and this looks promising. That's as where the ball ends up. Following that strike from Salafou Diarra.
Exactly that. Just giving the ball away a bit too cheaply in the last sort of 10 minutes, and that's exactly what happens when you give it away. The Grasshoppers are darting forward, getting the opportunity. It was a really good strike, just the other side of the post, but it's an area where West Ham keep giving the ball away and getting punished into that final third, and it's that crisp passing that was so good in the first 10 minutes. It's now, just a yard away and it's going past or giving possession away. It's just got to keep hold of that ball when it goes up to the midfield and be able to get into the wide areas or back into Paquetá, who's that creative player in that midfield area. But it's just not been as slick, as I say, in the first 10 minutes, how it was. But again, losing the ball.
Felt like there was a lot of synergy early on in this half with the West Ham players, but this time the awkward defending is in the box, and they're fortunate. Number 52 runs it out of play, Samuel Marquez. Of course, the player that almost scored the equaliser, Diarra, 23-year-old winger, Ivorian, and started his career at the Ivory Coast. He's played in Switzerland before, in 2020 to 2022. He's an Ivorian international as well. Got 4 caps to his name. Grasshoppers this summer, so he's very new to the Swiss team. And that would have been a great way to make his entrance just then. Paquetá judged to have fouled the number 2, Dirk Abels, formerly of PSV Youth. And this is good. This is slick, as we want to see, just like at the beginning of the second half, but perhaps wasn't the best pass from the goal scorer Marshall, who could end up being the match winner if the scoreline remains the same. That's that man there, the Ivorian, Diarra, who brings down Mavropanos.
Yeah, it's good from Mavropanos there, though, stepping into it, getting the ball and going forward. I think that's an area that West Ham needed to improve, and just seeing that slickness there, you just once you get the passing going again and you get to that wide areas, can you get a cross in, can you get a finish?
Well, they can't get a finish there. Brilliant goalkeeping as he stretched to make the save from Glaus. West Ham have had a handful of opportunities when they've come forward. And Klaus, probably the first real save he's had to make this game. Of course, there still have been efforts which he hasn't managed to get a hold of. Sloppiness from West Ham could be costly, as it's happened on a few occasions now. Grasshoppers trying to get the equaliser. Rooted and needed to make a save.
Just coming a bit sloppy. I think that's the header there. Maybe nestling into the far corner, but again, good crossing, good delivery, gets the first contact, and is quite comfortable in the end for the goalkeeper. But it's just giving the ball away in areas that no need to do it. That's the biggest thing, because you get punished. Yes, this is a pre-season match, but in the Premier League that doesn't happen. The ball will get punished, you will get put in the back of the net. So it's just these fine-tuning and making sure that this doesn't happen on a regular basis. Yes, you can make a mistake once, but you don't replicate that for a second and a third time. And this is what pre-season is all about, making sure that you understand your role, you understand what you need to do, and then perfecting it.
Just polishing up before the season. Of course, they do then can increase their level of opposition in all respect to Grasshoppers, going from this side in Switzerland who have struggled in recent decades. In the last 2 seasons, Grasshoppers have almost gone down. Of course, how it works in Switzerland, it's very similar to the Scottish setup, where there's 12 teams and it's then split into 6 and 6. And they finished at the bottom half in the last 2 seasons, and then been forced to play a relegation playoff, where of course they play against a team in the league below in a position for the Super League. Both times they've won that relegation playoff, but they don't want it to happen for a third time, as they've been flirting with relegation. And often when you're a team that seems to be down in that position, you eventually end up in the drop zone.
That was good play there on the right hand side by Guilherme. He's shown that every time he got the ball recently, he just wants to take his full back on, and he's done it. He's burst past him. He's tried to play that ball into the middle of the pitch, which has sort of, I suppose, stopped the momentum of his run. He's run the whole length of the pitch there. He's just trying to get back into the game. He's not seen too much of the ball. He gave the ball away a couple of occasions early doors, so now he's really trying to get hold of the game. Nice pass again going forward, but he's getting him more involved in the game. He needs to show his quality, because he got it. He really does. It's just that consistency and showing that he can do it in the right areas, and that's an opportunity now for him, potentially on his left foot, to put a delivery into the box here.
Well, Souček seems to be the one on that far side. Often he's the one to be in the box, but he'll probably make a late run as Guilherme is up there with him. They do the short pass instead. What do you make of that, Matt? Of course, you've got all the players lining up. Perhaps it's a move from the training ground you'd expect. Well, it looks like one here as Souček hangs it in. Paquetá was there in space, but he was unable to be found.
I can't see that being a training ground one. He's literally just put it down and played on. He'd be the one that actually wants to get on the end of it, and that
strike is cleared straight off the line. We thought for a second that we were going to have a debut goal from Juve. You felt it was destined to just ripple in the back of the net. Grasshoppers are frustrated at some decision before that. So close, Matt.
Yeah, really good play. You expect the ball to nestle into that far corner with Paquetá on his left-hand side, but really good save by the goalkeeper. And then you're willing Juve to just get his head on it to look at that ball, Marshall, and then whipped into the far corner. Great save by the goalkeeper. And you're just expecting the ball to nestle into that corner by Juve, but really good defending again on the line. But good interchange from Marshall and Paquetá on the edge of the box, and Juve following up like all good wingers.
Well, it is a penalty. Paquetá steps up, goalkeeper goes the wrong way. It's an inevitable outcome for the Brazilian. It's 3-1 to West Ham, and they've got the win here in Germany.
I'm not sure if anyone West Ham fans enjoy Paquetá's run up. You just want him to run up and smash it, but he's so composed. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's waiting for that keeper to move, but it's hard to watch if I'm honest. It's so slow. You just expect it to just have a good run up, but there he is. He comes, he walks, he stops, and then he's just waiting for that goalkeeper to make a move, and he just slides it into that other side. Really cool, calm penalty. And it was Diouf trying to get on the end of it, who's headed it down to get a handball for the penalty, which, to be honest, is probably a little bit harsh in my opinion. But it is a handball, it is a penalty, and that's the goal that West Ham have been trying to get in this second half after they've really got back into the game.
Well, it's great intellect from Paquetá to be able to assess when the goalkeeper goes first. I mean, the speed of that decision making is pretty exceptional as he tries to work it around. He falls to the floor, but Grasshoppers don't care as they come away with it. But Diouf just assessing the space around him, and he sees it go out for a throw. Of course, the player to bring down Diouf was Grayson Detoni, number 4 for Grasshoppers. It was good play. Of course, Paquetá firing it towards that far corner. Diouf trying to headering it down. There's Pantaleo Creti. Hasn't really seen much of the ball so far in this game. But sloppy work here from West Ham, which has been a bit of a theme in this second half, in the last half an hour or so. Grasshoppers, this is their third friendly and their first defeat. They've already played Vaduz and Sion. They drew 1-1 and beat their last opponent, Sion, 3-0. For West Ham, this is the start, hopefully, of some winning momentum. Although it hasn't been pretty at times, Jared Bowen did say getting that winning mentality going into the season can be so vital, to just have that winning mindset for the start of another Premier League campaign. And that is the end of the action. 2 goals in the second half for West Ham from Callum Marshall and of course Lucas Paquetá. I've been Ollie Ornis, joined with Matt Jarvis. Thank you very much, Matt, for joining me. I'm just going over the game, especially in the second half as well.
Yeah, I think the second half especially, there's nothing better than having a youngster come on fresh, scoring within the first few minutes, and a great finish with his left foot from Marshall. That started it, and then it just looked as though the passing was going to be really slick in and around the corners, but then they get back into the game, and it just a bit sloppy in parts, a lot of ball getting dispossessed or passing not quite on the button, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But at the same time, Diouf has been a huge positive in that second half. Great debut for him. Won the penalty with trying to get on the header at the far post after Paquetá. Great cross or a shot into the far corner, which the keeper made a save. But overall, I think West Ham, Graham Potter can be pleased with individual performances and spells in the team. I think there's definitely areas that he'll be looking at where overplaying and giving the ball away, but for me, positives. Diouf making his debut looked really impressive, going forward and defensively, and also to give Marshall a shot at goal and also to score is great for his confidence going into this pre-season.
Well,